Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Adam Ship, my money share, as we reinstate the Saturday Early Bird Podcast. Adam, we are doing this in fine fashion for December 28th. 13 games on the main slate, 14 overall for the NBA. I believe if we were in Mexico, we would say Vaya con Dios.
Yeah, lots of games. It was kind of nice having those like 5 and 6 game slates, but those were over with.
Yeah, it was only a five here on Friday night when we were recording this, and it was a very a vibrant, a vivid, a exciting 5 game schedule. There was plenty of options and choices. Next Friday, randomly enough, is a 6 game slate. For next Saturday, there's a 3:30, a 6 o'clock, and then 9 games on the main slate. And then, as we know, that gets into NFL wild card playoffs, etc., etc. So we are going to start seeing more and more Saturday, in particular Sunday games here, as the NFL gives way to winter and the association takes over. In the meantime, I want to give a shout out here to our sponsor. That would be Yahoo Fantasy. Reminder, if you have not yet signed up at Yahoo, what are you waiting for? You can go over to the bottom of any of our free articles of the not spotlight pitchers and hitters. Guess what? It's not baseball, Adam. Of the NBA cash building block articles and the primetime in NFL articles. At the bottom section, you will find the instructions, promo code, link, etc., on how you can get $30 matched by Yahoo with your first DFS deposit. That comes out in YSRPs, or Yahoo Sports Rewards points, which are available for immediate use into any game. It looks like Yahoo is running I think it was the $120,000 baller as we wrap up the NFL. It is the $150,000 baller. Let's see, they've got $15,000 first. It's a $10 entry fee. There are a maximum of 150. They do have CSV edit as well as upload, but it's just a 12% management fee and a reasonable 15,000 or 10% of the prize pool to first. So I've been playing a few lineups in that every week. Adam, how are you doing over there on Yahoo NFL? We haven't talked your NFL in a while.
Yeah, NFL hasn't been great the last few weeks for me, but overall season went really well. I'm not planning on playing this Sunday. I just don't want to deal with Week 17. So I can say that the NFL season overall went well, but just didn't really close out strong.
Yes, I am a degenerate, so I will not be playing cash games for week 17 because it's kind of silly to do that. You want to start looking at teams with motivations or that can change their playoff status or get into the playoffs. Some teams may still be eliminated. Of course, if you tune into On the Contrary here on this YouTube channel tomorrow, or if you're listening to this Saturday morning, that will be in the early afternoon. You will get, On the Contrary, Week 17 at 11 o'clock. You will get the NFL DFS Strategy Show. And then, of course, at 9:30, you will get the NBA DFS Strategy Show, where Adam and I will go laboriously, game by game, through our massive slate. Tonight, we're just going to give you the foundational look. We will go by position here. We will look utilizing DraftKings, but we will also call out some FanDuel and Yahoo price points, Adam. On to point guards here. You know what I always say, the world is your oyster. What do you have for us?
So
Oh, wait, are you wearing your Luka Doncic socks?
actually, no, I'm not.
I'm sad. He is 11,700. Those better come with some freaking leather socks.
Yeah, lots of expensive guys. Obviously Luca stands out. Golden State's not as good a matchup as it was earlier in the season. They're not playing as fast. They're playing better defensively. But Luca obviously is matchup proof. He contributes everything. So if you can get there, and there should be plenty of value on a 13 game Saturday slate. So if you can get there, I think he's obviously a good option up at the top. Giannis is, I guess, questionable. He missed Friday's game. Decent matchup for James Harden against a fast-paced Brooklyn team. They've also been, I think, better defensively than people give them credit for, as have the Bulls, who try young faces. So kind of interesting with the guards at the top, because three guys who are obviously really good fantasy players, but all of them in mediocre, I guess, matchups.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. This will be one that sorts itself out, as you mentioned. 13 games, 26 teams in the player pool. We will have lots of information coming in. There's a handful of teams on back to backs. I'll look those up there in a moment. Offhand, I do know that Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Orlando are in back to backs, but we have some interesting guys here that are not. So if we look to some of the guys like, excuse me, Adam, or pardon me, Adam Levine, the voice. That would be Zach Levine, not of the voice, but of the Chicago Bulls. He is ticking up there going against Atlanta on the back to back. He is at 8,200. You get Damian Lillard, tough matchup there against LA. We'll see what's up with LeBron, but you've got Lillard playing a boatload of minutes. He's at 8,700. You got Spencer Dinwiddie, who is just doing everything for Brooklyn. At some point, Kyrie Irving is going to play, and then, oh yeah, they still have Kevin Durant for next year. Jrue Holiday is coming in against his brothers. Ooh, let's pause there for a moment. The Pacers are on a back-to-back, but we have a meeting of all three Holiday brothers here. Oh, wait for it, and it is the holidays. Adam, that feels like a narrative.
Yeah. Um.
I
Yeah.
painted Adam into a corner there. He's got nowhere to go because there's nothing, literally nothing to talk about with the holidays. You've got Aaron and Justin, who are kind of, yeah, Brogdon missed Friday night. He may be out as well again on Saturday. You've got Drew Holiday, but this is a tough matchup. And what is your take on him this year, Adam? I thought this year was going to be his year. I figured he would be essentially most nights a 20 and 10 guy. We saw flashes of his brilliance over the last couple seasons with New Orleans when he was the main man. He definitely is the main man at this point, but it just doesn't seem to be happening for him. And arguably, he has a better team than what he played on last year with all of the good games that he had, when we discount the fact that Anthony Davis wasn't playing in most of those games.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because you have Brandon Ingram as the number one option on the offense. He's the number one usage guy. You have Lonzo on the floor at times that is a facilitator as well. And Drew himself is at different points this year kind of been hesitant to call his own number, and he's kind of been looking more to pass. So I think he's obviously still a really good player, and from a fantasy standpoint, he still is somewhat appealing because he plays big minutes and he is really good. But you certainly have to account for the impact of Ingram and Lonzo.
All right, coming down, we do have Toronto on the slate. They are going against Boston, so that will bring Kyle Lowry, Fred Van Vliet, kind of carrying the squad in the absence of Norman Powell, Pascal Siakam, and I'm blanking on Mark Gasol. How can we forget Mr. Gasol? So those guys, any interest there? Perhaps Alec Burks on the back-to-back, 5,800. You got Lou Williams in a tougher matchup. He's going against Utah. Looks like his legs or his shot or just father time is starting to catch up with him. What do you think of the mid-tier?
Yeah, so I think that with Toronto still depleted, you still have decent pricing on Kyle Lowry and Fred Van Vliet. Really tough matchup against Boston, and with it being a 13-game slate, I'm not sure how much of a priority that'll be, but they do play huge minutes, so that's at least something to keep in mind. DeMar DeRozan is still affordably priced against a pretty weak Detroit defense, and then Elfrid Payton's salary came up, but if you're going to get around 30 minutes of him against Wizards, that's still pretty appealing.
All right. Boston did play on Friday, kind of an late afternoon game there against Cleveland. They handled Cleveland pretty easily, but they're at home here against Toronto. Markel Fultz, 4,900. It'll be a back-to-back for him, as well as with Milwaukee. Dante DiVincenzo coming in on the other side. You got Goran Dragic. He's on the back-to-back Miami in Philadelphia here. As we finish up point guard, do you like these guys? Would you dip down a little lower? Perhaps a Darius Garland, maybe a Corey Joseph with or with it unlikely that De'Aaron Fox plays. What do you got for us here as we round out the point guard position?
Yeah, I mean, pretty tough to get the guys like Darius Garland or Corey Joseph on a slate this big. You do have Isaiah Thomas back going against the Knicks, which is, I think, reasonable. George Hill, if I mean, it's a tough matchup for Hill, and his salary came up, so I guess not really that appealing with or without Giannis. But I think that Isaiah's interesting. I think that uh, I would say Shabazz Napier, except he didn't play any minutes alongside Teague last game. So if he's going to be on the short end of that split, that's not that appealing. Value right now at guard doesn't seem great, but again, it's there's 13 games, and we've seen on whether it's coincidental or not, but weekend slates this year, just tons and tons and tons of late news.
Yeah, and there's a going through it all. There's a fair number of back to backs for there just being, I guess, 12 total teams with Cleveland and Boston playing the afternoon game on Friday. So there's a lot of chance that things can go a little sideways. Moving over here to the shooting guard position, 11,200 for James Harden here. Does he feel like he should be the third most expensive player on the slate here on DraftKings behind Luka and Giannis?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, he obviously isn't as good on a per minute basis with Westbrook, but he's still a really high ceiling guy. It's still a pretty nice matchup against Brooklyn, and it's still James Harden.
All right. How are you feeling about Buddy Hield? He should get some usage opening up there with De'Aaron Fox already ruled out with his sore back. He's coming in reasonably at 6,200 on DK, 57, very nice price point there on Draft or FanDuel, and then 26. It's not my favorite. I'd prefer 23, 22 there on Yahoo. He is someone that has seen his usage go down with the reinsertion of Bagley and Fox into the lineup here. He's still getting his shots. He's just not quite getting as many assist opportunities and not quite getting as many rebound opportunities, which should be expected. Would you consider him? Do you feel like Bogdanovich might be getting slightly healthy? He played a ton of minutes in that double overtime game.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll gets a huge bump from Fox being out. We've already seen that this year that the usage goes up a little bit, but he's not really much more productive. But either way, the salary is really favorable on him. It's a good matchup against Phoenix. He's kind of been benched in game 2 games in a row. He spoke out about it, called out the coaching staff after the game against Minnesota. So it will be interesting to see if kind of how that develops. You know, sometimes you see that narrative go kind of like the Zach LaVine way, where he goes on a tear and then plays big minutes and shoots all the time, or you see it go the other direction where it just keeps happening. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I think that the salary is really favorable. I think that Fox being out certainly benefits Bogdanovich, who essentially becomes the point guard off the bench. So both of those guys I think are good for this.
All right, Fred VanVleet, favorable at seven. Well, let's say realistic at 7,500 on DraftKings. Kind of tough to get to at 8,300 on FanDuel. 31 splits the difference there a little bit on Yahoo. Prefer him on DraftKings. Definitely, as Adam mentioned, tough matchup. But we will be putting out the Fred VanVleet fan club. If you win that with an Awesemo avatar, I will get you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. If you definitely you will need to tweet me, or if you're already an Awesemo member, reach out to me in Slack, because I will have no idea what your username is compared to your Twitter handle, compared to your Awesemo subscription. So, but I will get you those 30 free days. Adam, as we continue on down here, you've got Donovan Mitchell in a fun matchup here against the Clippers. You've got Ben McLemore down at the bottom of the price point going against Brooklyn. You've got CJ McCollum kind of splitting the difference there at 6,800. Any of these names intrigue you at all amongst our 26 teams in action?
McCollum's kind of always interesting because he's having his minutes staggered with Lillard and he's playing huge minutes, but matchup not great, so not sure he'd be a priority for me.
All right. Anything else as we walk down the bottom of the two guards?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's get on over here to the old small forward. Let me get my filters set up so I can look at all of the pricing. Across the board, Luka Doncic is coming in at a number one at 11,700 on DK, 10,600 on FanDuel, where he is point guard, and he's also point guard at 57 on Yahoo. You've got LeBron. Do we have any word on LeBron status?
I'm seeing him listed as questionable.
believe he was dealing with a sore groin, if I remember correctly. He is listed as questionable against the Lakers or the Blazers.
Looks like
But
he's expected to play.
expected to play. All right. I do like the matchup for him
It
against
is a back-to-back.
for LeBron.
Yeah, front end of
Oh,
a back-to-back.
front end of a back to
Yeah.
back. So they are playing on Sunday. Sorry, I was like, oh, good God, how did I not realize the Lakers didn't play on Friday? Hey, now, it's because they didn't play on Friday. So you've got LeBron here. I always like to play him at small forward where, whenever possible, he is still small forward at 9,800 on FanDuel. He is point guard at 53 on Yahoo. So he is someone that will move a lot of parts around. If he ends up being out or rested on this back-to-back, Anthony Davis, of course, gets a tick up, as does Rajon Rondo. I would suspect he's probably going to play in this one. Comparable guys around him. We've got Giannis, who was out on Friday with we're just going to call that a back-to-back. He had a back-to-back, Adam. So what do you think here at the tippy top of the price point? LeBron, Giannis, assume full health for everybody.
I think LeBron looks really good. The salary's still really cheap. Good matchup against Portland. Not a good defensive team, and you know that you're getting, 35, 36 minutes out of Giannis, or sorry, out of LeBron. Giannis, if he's good to go, he's a little bit more expensive. He's close to a 2 fantasy point per minute player, but it is a huge pace down spot against the Magic. It's a decent Orlando defense. They do have some long defenders that could slow down Giannis a bit in Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac. So I think it would depend on ownership. Like if Giannis is going to be low owned, then obviously he's always a good play. But I think that splitting hairs between all these really good players at the top, I would give the edge. You have Luka, but then also to LeBron for a little bit less.
All right. So Los Angeles is Lakers in Portland on Saturday. They host Dallas on Sunday. Toronto will be on a back-to-back as well. They are, where are they? They'll be home on Sunday. They're on the road in Boston on Saturday. Just glancing, New Orleans is at home on Sunday. They're home on Saturday. Denver not on a back-to-back, and Sacramento will be on a back-to-back. They will be on the road Sunday in Denver. They're at home against Phoenix on, God, there's so many back-to-backs, Adam. That's what happens when you got 13 teams in action. They're at home against Phoenix on Saturday. Let's see here. You know who is interesting? Carmelo Anthony at 5,500 on DraftKings, 57 on FanDuel, and 23 on Yahoo. I actually like that DraftKings price a lot at 5,500 there. He is just, from a fantasy perspective, Adam, been getting it done. He's scoring. He's getting a few rebounds. The other day, his plus minus was not the worst on the team. Like, it wasn't even close to being the worst on the team. Is he having a resurgence here?
No,
Okay.
he's a scorer. I mean, I didn't see the end of the Portland game the other night, but I saw enough tweets about it to kind of have an idea of what happened. And it's that it was a competitive game down the stretch, and Carmelo Anthony decided it was his time to take over, and Portland lost. It's it is what it is. Like he's a scorer. He's better than a lot of guys on Portland, but you would rather have the ball in the hands of their guards.
Yeah, definitely. Yikes. Well, 5,500. I don't care what's going on, so I'm in. OG Anunoby disappointed everybody on Christmas. He's down to 4,900 on DK, 53 on FanDuel, and 18 on Yahoo. How are you feeling about Anunoby? Perhaps a Draymond Green, maybe a Kelly Oubre on a back-to-back. Anybody here as we finish up on small forward?
I think that OG's minutes should be there. It was he was in some foul trouble on Christmas Day, but you're also seeing Patrick McCall still play big minutes for whatever reason, even though he doesn't really do anything at all. But 4,900 for OG, tough spot. I I think it's fine. The minutes should be there. The production, is your guess is as good as mine. I think that uh the position in general down at this price point is pretty rough. If Malcolm Brogdon's out, it does give more usage to Jeremy Lamb and TJ Warren. But assuming Brogdon is back, it's not as appealing for those guys.
All right, let's get on over here to the power forward position as we continue checking on through here. Reminder, if you guys have not yet signed up for Osmo, you can use the promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word, to get 50% off any 1 week package offered by Osmo. And we have a variety of them. We have the full access pass. We have packages for as low as $3 a week. We've got sport centric packages. You can definitely find what you are looking for. Adam, Marvin Bagley Jr., a little bit banged up in the last game. Let me see if I can get any information on him. Damn it. We'll assume he's healthy. Bagley. What?
Bagley, I would be surprised if he plays.
All right. He left the game in a walking boot. Oh, yikes. Meeting with a foot specialist on Saturday. Did not practice on Friday. That does not bode well. So how are we feeling about Nemanja Bjelica? Perhaps Trevor Ariza and Dwayne, trade me now, damn it, Dedmon.
I don't think it has an impact on Dedmon.
Which is so sad. They signed him to that 3-year, $17 million deal, and he's DNPs.
Yeah, I mean, he got a little bit of run when Bagley and Holmes were both in foul trouble at the end of the fourth quarter against Minnesota. But before Bagley came back, Bjelica was the backup center. I assume that's what they go back to doing, which means that he's a pretty appealing option because those minutes are valuable. It does also give him more playing time. Like, that Trevor Ariza is going to get more minutes, but those minutes are usually pretty empty. So with Bjelica's price tag starting to come down a little bit, still 5,700 on DraftKings, but a favorable matchup against Phoenix, I think that he could be a pretty interesting option, especially if people are not going to be there.
I was wrong, Adam. It was a 3-year, $40 million contract for Dedmon. Now, technically, $27 million is guaranteed. That's so basically $13.3 million for each of the first 2 years, and then there's $1 million buyout. It looks like here, but my goodness, $13 million a year, and they're just not going to play him. Why do you even sign him? And by the way, he's a decent player for a big man because he can shoot the three in today's NBA.
Yeah, he's not bad.
None of this makes sense. Luke Walton. I've now lost faith in Luke Walton. That's all I got. Speaking of losing faith, Adam, how are you feeling about Bojan coaching the Bulls? Because we have Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. in very nice matchups here going against Atlanta on the back-to-back. Are those a dynamic duo we can trust?
Markkanen, I think, missed practice on Friday, so that's something to keep an eye on. It's a really good matchup, obviously. The minutes have been up for Markkanen a little bit. So if he's in, I think he's a good play. If he's out, then Thaddeus Young becomes a clear, obvious value.
All right, and then I just realized I had this sorted backwards, so now I'll go a little more by salary. You've got Derek Favors, who's been getting more minutes. This is a nice matchup for him against the Pacers. Julius Randle against the Washington Wizards. Feels like we just saw this matchup. I'm definitely going to be making Julius Randle a major part of my day. As we look at the mid-tier there, perhaps throw in Kevin Love in a going back to a gym that he is familiar with, maybe some Rashawn Holmes here. There's a very, very vibrant mid-tier power forward grouping.
Yeah, I think that Randall is once again a really good option. The Wizards can't defend, and Randall's the leading usage guy. He's playing big minutes. I think that looking to him and Marcus Morris both is appealing.
All right, I want to see that. We did just see this game like 2 games ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he put up 50 in 37 minutes. That's 35 points. Surprisingly, just 5 rebounds against the team that plays at the third fastest pace, has the worst rebounding rate and the third worst defensive efficiency going there. But I do really like him. Should shout out Alfred Payton as well there. If we look towards the bottom of power forward here, I'm seeing a lot of people in the other day last night on Thursday, they played Taurean Prince. I just could not get there. What are your thoughts about him going against Houston? Perhaps a Bojan Bogdanovic there against the Clippers, kind of our substandard mid-tier players here, Jonathan Isaac, etc., etc.
Prince is fine. The salary is reasonable. The problem is that with Wilson Chandler back, you're seeing Prince tend to play a little bit less minutes. You're getting, 18 to 20 minutes from Chandler and around 30, 31 from Prince. So um it's it's okay, but it's not a great not a great play, I don't think. Like I would rather, assuming Bagley's out, I think I would rather have Bielitsa.
All right, let's wrap it up. Power forward here and head on to center. You've got Montrezl Harrell, same price essentially as Christmas. 55 on DK, 53 on FanDuel where he is center only, and 25 on Yahoo where he is center only. He sort of disappointed us on Christmas. He is kind of disappointed in his last few games. He has topped 30 fantasy points just once in his last 5 games, twice in his last 8 games. How are you feeling about Harold? This now seems to be a more appropriate price point for him.
Yeah, it is. He should, I think, still play, 29, 30 minutes. It's not a great spot against Utah, but they have been playing a little bit faster. He's fine. Like he has upside. It's just not a spot that I'm really confident in.
Okay, let's head on over to the pivot spot here. And then, of course, we will talk about just hit the other two sites, FanDuel and Yahoo, just see if there's any other plays that we missed for value. You've got Anthony Davis up near the top here with Karl Anthony Towns. I'm just assuming Towns is going to be out. Of course, we'll know more. Great matchup for him there against Cleveland. You've got Vooch on the back-to-back there going against the Bucks. I'm assuming that DeAndre Ayton is out here. What do you like amongst our premier plays?
Yeah, so I'm with you in assuming that Towns doesn't play. He did warm up before the game against Sacramento, which was the first time out of all these games that he's missed that he's even warmed up. So maybe he's trending in the right direction. But until we hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that he sits. Embiid on the second half of a back to back, obviously, you're going to be a little concerned about his minutes. But assuming he plays, I think that I'll still end up projecting him for 32, 33 minutes. Tough spot against Miami, but pretty reasonable price tag at 9,400. I think that Andre Drummond stands out. His salary dropped about $700 from his last game when he was 10K against the Wizards. Now you get him at 9,300 against the Spurs. Not a great San Antonio defensive team or team overall. Drummond disappointed against the Wizards in large part because the Wizards got absolutely run off the floor. So Drummond didn't play his normal minutes. I think it's a pretty nice bounce back spot for him.
All right, let's sort here by points real quick. We've got some other guys. Well, how do you feel about Kristaps Porzingis with Luka Doncic back? 83 on DraftKings, 9,000 on FanDuel, and then 40 on Yahoo. Just doesn't feel like a good spot, even against the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's a little bit overpriced for his role with Luka because he loses rebounds, he loses assists, and he loses usage. So he's still a good player. He still should get 33, 34 minutes, but he's just not going to be as involved in any category. And the price tag had come up as a result of Luka being out. So naturally, he's a little bit overpriced now.
All right, let's see. A couple guys in the mid tier here. Hassan Whiteside actually getting assists, which is kind of fun. He is going against the Lakers. Rudy Gobert going against the Clips. Let's see, Bam Adebayo in the back-to-back plus Embiid. Not really interested in him. So, in all honesty, Kevin Love at 7,700, Rudy Gobert at 85, or Hassan Whiteside at 78. Do any of those price points stand out to you?
Whiteside's price point just isn't moving. It's a tough spot against the Lakers, but over the last month or so, he's averaging about 1.5 fantasy points per minute, coming off of a really, really disappointing game against Utah the other night. But hopefully that keeps ownership down a little bit because he should be more expensive than he is.
All right. Last I saw, Mitchell Robinson was a little dinged up. Let me see. But riveting, of course. So we've got Mitchell Robinson here has a sore toe listed as questionable. Let's see. Did not practice on Friday, but it doesn't look. Team didn't practice on Friday. So, in any event, keep an eye on that because he gets a nice matchup there with the Wizards. Let's see, Brolo on the back-to-back. Nah, no thanks. Last guy I'm looking at at least on DraftKings, Ennis Cantor going against Toronto. 5,300, 49 on FanDuel. Not quite as fun, but 13 on Yahoo. Is he some early placeholder value?
I think it's okay. I mean, obviously he's splitting minutes with Daniel Tice, and the salary isn't super cheap. But he has a favorable matchup against an undersized Chris Boucher with the second unit. We saw him really dominating on Christmas Day early on, and then he kind of fell off. But I think it's a spot where you can take a shot in tournaments, especially when you look at priced around him. You're probably going to have more ownership going to a $5,500 Willie Cauley-Stein or a $5,100 Aaron Baines. And those guys are going to probably project a little bit higher because they play more minutes. But Cantor is a very, very good player on a per minute basis. So he can beat those guys.
All right, a couple value guys. Let's see. Mostly looks like bigs here on FanDuel. You got Derek Favors at 61. Markkanen, assuming he's in play, at 58. You've got Blake Griffin at 57. How are you feeling about Blake? Everything's down a little bit across the board. He's dealing with that remnants of the offseason knee surgery, or I guess end of last season knee surgery, sore posterior, sore hip, and sore calf, all on that. I think it was this left leg that he had operated on. Points about 0.95 fantasy points per minute this season. That's down from about 1.24 last year, utilizing the DraftKings scoring, so that does include double bonuses. It's starting to get to a price point where it's very intriguing, Adam.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's like a one fantasy point per minute guy this year. Um, he plays, 30, 32 minutes in competitive games. It's just really tough for me to get there at his price point when you have more volatile players and better per minute producers. You have Rashawn Holmes at that price point. We already talked about Randall, but he's less than $1,000 more expensive on DraftKings. Jarrett Allen's less expensive. Wendell Carter Jr. against Atlanta is less expensive. Gorgie Jang is the same price if Towns is out against Cleveland. It's really tough for me to give Blake Griffin any sort of priority.
All right, and then a couple $10 guys over here on Yahoo, or as Laffy likes to say, you can become a baller. Jan Mahimny at $10 even. That's intriguing. He will get you 20 to 23 fantasy points. He's never exciting, but $10 is $10. You've got Maxi Kleber at 10. You've got Larry Nance Jr., who did play on Friday. Tough to ask there on a back-to-back and see what's going to happen, but $10 with him. You've got Skal Labissiere at 10, and then who else do we like here? That's really about it. At the $11 price range, you can get to Dwight Howard. You can get to Daniel Tice. Let's see, at $12, you can get to Bobby Portis. So we have a lot of front court guys here that are discounted. Did any of those names stand out or pop for you?
No, not really, but I completely unrelated to center. We already have some value opening up most likely. Trae Young left Friday's game with an ankle sprain and was pretty quickly ruled out from coming back. So assuming he's out, you're going to get value in the form of Kevin Huerter and DeAndre Bembry most likely.
All right. Well, on that note, RIP to my main lineup there. Very sad. So if you played me in head-to-heads on DraftKings, you won because I'm having a bad night in general. So congrats, everybody. With that, let's sign off so we can assess the damage to our bankrolls, Adam. You can follow Adam on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EmacDFS. Follow us on Awesemo YouTube. We have 5 hours of live programming. Oh, actually, make that 6 on Saturday, and then 6 also on Sunday. So give that a look. Good luck, gamers.